Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Vivid Voltage, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code Omnipoke. For today's video, I'm going over the pre-match of the December Cube League. I decided it was about time to scratch that itch and get back into playing some Cube. You can go ahead and join the Legend Box Discord if you're also interested in playing some online Cube games. There's a really awesome league setup. There's a Discord. You can play on Untap, so you don't need any of the cards to get involved. They draft monthly, and they also have, interim drafts just for beginners as well. So if you're new to Cube, there's also some nice introductory level things there for you as well. So don't be intimidated by other people who are experienced in Cube. So just a quick shout out to Legend Box. I'm one of the admins there. I really enjoy taking part in the Cube stuff in the first place. I don't do as much as I would like to because I'm fairly busy. But I really wanted to get involved this week, or this month, I should say. And we were drafting quite a high power level cube. This is my favorite way to cube because you can create some pretty strong combos. It's actually Blue Cheesecake, friend of the channel's cube. And yeah, I'm going to quickly go over just a little brief synopsis of what's within the cube. Then I'll show you my deck list. And then it's actually open deck list for this tournament. So I can see what other archetypes other people have started to build. So yeah, for the grass stuff, there is Beedrill and Ariados, I believe, is the stage one. With some decent powerful basics. I think powerful basics is a bit of a theme for this draft. I think there's a lot to pick up on. It's definitely something that I took note of. Delphox Break, obviously one of the strongest things because you have the combination of Mystical Fire for draw and Mystical Torch for extra free damage. Both of these have really high damage output attacks if you do get the break as well. So I imagine there'll be a bit of competition for Delphox, but I think it's going to be pretty strong. The Salazzles seem okay. Roast Reveal, very, very strong. Hot Poison seems to be a combination card for possibly Ariados, or again, just being extra damage modification. So a bit of a two-sided option there. The Fire Basics honestly seem like the most insane, and you'll see in the deck list that I was able to get pretty much most of the ones I wanted. So yeah, really happy with how my draft actually ended up. We can go over my things here because I'm literally on the Cube Pod one, which is the one that I was involved with. Greninja is pretty interesting. I think Water Shuriken is great as a supplementary option, but I don't think it's good enough to be an attacking-based archetype. It does have Shadow Stitch Moonlight Slash, which is pretty okay as well. That has free retreat, but really just trying to build towards the Water Shurikens. Leaving them in the back would probably be the best option there. It does have Water Dupes in here somewhere, I believe, as well. So some good Froakies there. Milotic, more of a supporting stage one, really, category. Some reasonable big basics for the water stuff. I think they're all a bit expensive when there's no water acceleration, though, so I don't think they were all that strong, which also bodes well for me choosing to play a fire deck, because I see most of like the frog line, the support stage one, and the basics all to be more, in the back rather than coming up front and swinging. Obviously, for weakness, all of these weaker attacks look a lot stronger, but I don't think many people are going to be maining, tons of water energy and attackers and stuff in their list. It might be a split of water plus something else, more than likely. Eels seem insane. I mean, there's 3 Dynamotor electrics, so if you can build around Eel, it's incredible. There's Eel big basics. I think the lightning stuff is a bit tame for the big basics, which is good because there's so many Eels that you can spam with it. There's also 2 copies of Powerful Spark Raichu, which pretty much builds itself. It's lots of stage ones that you need to get into play, but you just maintain really, really good damage output. So Raichu Eel could also be a pretty scary archetype with some decent Pikachus that can be good in the opening turns. Machamp is like a staple fighting guy. You will know what he's all about. Improving damage output. This stage 2 one, the counter attack one, just has insane, just raw stats. 160 base that also deals 3 whenever you hit into it. Like, that's just an incredible card, to be honest. So insane stats on the Machamps. Donphans as well look really scary. There's 2 spinning turn. There's Exoskeleton, which is the prime, which is crazy. And there's also a sturdy one. So all the Donphans, very good tempo stage ones. Groudon, Hitmonchan, yeah, some decent basics as well. Gengar's an interesting one. There's a lot of spread potential going on here. I don't know how easy it is to build around this, to be honest, but there's even some decent haunters that have like annoying spread attacks and stuff like that. There's some annoying status that they can put on people. There's the Ghastlies that can instantly go and help you grab some haunters as well. So could be a pretty cheesy strategy. I don't know if it is going to be really something that many people build around unless someone goes full spread. I don't think it's going to be a super popular one. There's Garbodor in this draft, so that's when you know it's high power level. There's Garbotoxin, there's Trashalanche, so yeah, that's pretty strong. Anyone could just pick those up, so yeah. For the Psychic, big basics, again, there's not much energy acceleration, so things like Distortion Dortina don't seem that incredible to me. Yeah, some of these look pretty expensive. Nihilego is something to watch out for. But again, open deck list, we can play around that sort of card a lot easier, so yeah. There is Tapu Lele as well that lets you magical swap if people are playing spread. That sounds really, really, really scary. Hydreigon, pretty slow for this kind of cube that I'm looking at right now. Just the amount of big basics that there are makes me think Hydreigon's pretty slow, but huge build round potential, you know, move your energies around, get more into play. A lot of hit points as well. A lot of these sit around the 150 mark, 140, 150. So yeah, tanky boys. A lot to build around, but really strong if you can. The Zoroarks, they don't seem that insane. There's a couple of the Night Punishment ones and a couple of the Foul Play Zoroarks. So fortunately, there's no stand-in. That would be just like the insta-pick of the entire cube, to be honest, but that's not there. Again, the Dark Big Basics, you can build around them. You know, there's some expensive attack costs here. If you are playing the Hydreigon deck, that gives you something to do, and Yveltal's are decent early game cards as well. Metagross seems interesting. Machine Gun Stomp is definitely a build around if you can have enough draw power. For things we've seen for draw so far, it's only really been that Salazzle, but I do think there are Cinccino's in here as well. So you can try and build towards a huge Machine Gun Stomp. My biggest fear is that Fire will always be played, I think, because Delphox is just so good, and the big basics are also good. So those are kind of scary. Removing Retreat is good, and this is actually a tanky boy. 170 raw hit points with 100 damage. Yeah, that sounds pretty powerful, actually. This one... Oh, yeah, that's weak damage output, but yeah. And Bronzong also looking pretty powerful. Metal Links, you know, historically pretty amazing and splashable in all sorts of things. There's some decent basic metal guys as well. The Regis seem okay. Zamazenta's actually really huge. 130 plus a resistance coming into it. So yeah, that's scary. There's Stoutland as well. I think the biggest reason to play Stoutland, so obviously this Sentinel blocking supporters is a headache for some people to deal with, but I think the Herdies are actually really good. Treasure Hunt can be really good in a cube that has A-Specs all over the place and a few other things here and there. So the Herdiers actually seem interesting to me. So there are 4 Sword and Shield Cinccino's, so everyone can get a chance of getting Make Do. Spoilers, I get 3 of the 4 from my draft because I just want to draw cards, so yeah. There's some Vulpix and stuff going on. There's some decent, like, helpful basics going on here and there. Some decently powerful Shining Pokemon. Things like Shining Arceus can be really ridiculous with a 30 spread around the board. Definitely scary. And yeah, the supporters are all fairly high power as well. Just a quick note on my draft, how it went. I was quite early at finding both Volcanions, and I thought these were the best Fire Big Basics just out there, so I built towards them with the intention of just having, you know, some backup attackers. I thought about having some backup grass in here. I thought I was going to have a split of Fire Grass, where I got myself Bulu, I got myself Genesect, and I got myself the Stadium, the Aether Paradise. Yeah, that... is it Aether Paradise? Aether Conservation Area. Yeah, that stadium that reduces damage. So I thought I was going to splash in this grass stuff, but I actually later on ended up getting Salazzle and just thought I'd go full draw power mode. And that's the deck that you're going to be looking at now. So this is why I ended up drafting. I've got a 2-3 line of Cinccino, so I wasn't quite able to get enough Mincinos, but, you know, the earlier access to Make Do, the better. I'm just going to be outdrawing people consistently because I have a 2-3 line of this and I have a 1-1 line of Salazzle. So a ton of draw power and only basics to attack with for the most part. So I'm going to be pretty consistent at what I'm going to try and do. Most of my basics have really good opening attacks. There's Power Heater for acceleration. There's Flare Starter for acceleration. There's Burning Raw for acceleration. So 3 of my starters are excellent because they all have acceleration. I have another excellent starter in Tapu Koko for free retreats throughout the game. It also allows me to set up damage or finish things off that I've not been able to knock out because my damage cap is normally around that 120 or so mark. So definitely something that's going to be helpful. If there are tankier stage 2, I can mop them up with a Flying Flip later on. So that's pretty cool. Outside of that, really happy to pick up this Eevee GX. Joymaker GX attack seems absolutely nutty to me. And having 160 base hit points is wild. That's like as big as pretty much every stage 2 in the draft, and it just comes as a basic. And I think it gets a lot better just because I have the gold potion in here. So I can quite happily take a turn to Gold Maker GX knowing that one of the 3 cards that I'll recover is a gold potion. Then I can like instantly buy myself that turn back by just using the gold potion immediately on the EVGX itself. So seems like a great way to buy a free turn and get back some important resources. You can see I've got a ton of draw in here. That's because there's some really critical cards. You'll notice that I've got acceleration in some early game attacking options, but not much else beyond that. So my main core concept is going to be trying to loop Blacksmith, and I'm going to try and do this with Palpad, the single copy of Blacksmith, Cynthia Caitlin, Lusamine, and Trump card. So I have a ton of ways to recycle the the Blacksmith. So there's some important cards that I really don't want to prize, Trump card being one of them. Obviously, Blacksmith, one of the key cards that I cannot afford to prize for too long. If I prize it in the early game, I can kind of get away with it. I can buy turns with the Lily's Polka Doll. I can try and like Joy Maker GX for a few turns here and there, but ultimately only getting one attachment throughout the game outside of early power heaters and flare starters is going to be a little bit awkward. So I need to try and dig through my deck aggressively and Blacksmith to make sure I can have a chain of attackers against people. I'm hoping the natural raw hit points of the Reshiram, the Volks, and the Entei all going to give me enough turns where I can get multiple turns of value out of them. But if that's not the case, I'm going to always want to have my backup Blacksmith ready to go every single turn. I did get a really good handful of tools as well. I got Eviolite, which is just insane for my deck. Muscle Band as well is going to help me push on some stage 2 and bulkier stage 1s out there. EXP Share, some pseudo energy acceleration. Burning Energy specifically good for Blue Flare to make that a more chainable attack, which is very good for me. So yeah, I think ultimately I've basically jammed as much draw as possible all into one deck, only so that I can essentially reuse like the 2 broken tools that I have with Muscle Band and Eviolite and reuse Blacksmith. That's like pretty much the entire idea of the deck. I'm going to be drawing, just so that I can use like Gold Potion, Joy Maker, Blacksmith as many times as possible, and recycle Eviolite Muscle Band. Like that's really the core. I'm going to be doing so much more consistently than so many other people, which I think is really the biggest draw to the deck. And I have so much infiniteness here as well. I have Sinlin Lusamine combo, I have Palpad for either of those, and I have Trump cards. So I'm always going to be looping these options. I think one thing that gives me a small edge is that I have Delinquent as a threat to people as well. Especially when I'm only playing one stadium, but I have Lusamine, so I can like always be threatening Delinquent against people, which is really, really scary for them, right? They have to play their entire game differently against me, especially because I'm going to be growing a hand size quickly. When I have Cinccino's in play, when I have Salazzle in play, I'm going to be drawing a lot more cards than other people for the most part. And I have some really synergistic supporters as well. I got Hop, How, Looker, and Sharon. So those draw 3s make so much sense when I'm playing Salazzle Mincino, because these are the only supporters I can play, other than like I only have 1 or 2 shuffle draw options. I have N, like that's it for shuffle draw, right? Otherwise, I'm just digging further and further and further, deeper towards the bottom, which lets me trump cards. So yeah, that's the core concept of my deck. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think I've got a ton of draw, a ton of big basics, so my early game is always going to be sound, I think. And really it's just making sure that my power spike cards, the likes of my A-Spec, the likes of Blacksmith, are all accessible to me. I honestly think my win condition is somewhat in the tools as well. Eviolite and Muscle Band are just such incredible cards, making, things like it allows me to chain a High Heat Blast for like double knockouts. It allows me to chain Blue's Flare for a couple knockouts if I just have a Eviolite or a Muscle Band. Either I'm doing a bunch of damage or I'm tanking a hit and then doing another hit. So that seems like the win condition to work around, just going in blind. Joy Maker seems like a big win condition as well. I am playing 1 copy of Double Colorless. That makes Boost Dash a decent damage option. It makes Flying Flip more available. It even allows me to just panic outrage in situations where I just pass into the active. Didn't really pick up much Gust. I did pick up Pokemon Catcher, but I'm choosing not to play it in my deck. Little bit risky, but I am playing double Escape Rope, so possibly in those opening turns I'm still going to get some forceful Gust, and in late game situations I'm still hoping that if there's just one big stage 2 in the way and I only need to take 1 or 2 prize cards left, I can just panic rope my way around them. So that's going to be the main idea around the deck. Basically, it's just a big basic rush style approach, but I'm pretty happy to see this. So yeah, that is the deck. Let's have a look and compare to some other players' decks. So there are 32 players in total, all who have submitted their deck lists, mine included. So I'm not going to go into detail about this, but we'll just get a quick feel of like the Pokemon. So this looks to be a Hydreigon that's got a little Cinccino count in here, so very thick Hydreigon line. It's got a Mimikyu in here as well. That's one deck list. There's a Greninja player in the field out there with some of the big basic water stuff as well by the looks of things. That's my list that I've just submitted. There's an electric Metagross, so that's a big dreamer deck. It's playing double Cleffer though, so he does have some good early game Pokemon. Feels like it's going to try and be a comeback style deck with multiple stage 2s rocking in there. There's a Donphan Garb with big basics. There's a lot going on in that list. Donphan Garb, big basics. I wonder what the energy line is like. Yeah, pretty wacky energy counts, but there's some good stuff going on there. Garb just being, I guess it's a 1/1 Garb. It's mostly a Donphan with big basics. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Donphan, definitely good pressure card. That'll be a difficult match for me. There's the first of many Delphox. I think there's a ton of people playing Delphox. Weirdly, Pod 1, which is the one that I was involved with, breaks. The Delphox was really pieced apart. I don't think anyone even built around the break from my pod. These Delphox lists are just from other people's pods. And we all come together from that pod and face each other. So Davy is the first person I'm actually up against as well. So I'm going to take a bit more time looking at his list. But he looks to be a pretty straightforward Delphox. He actually has 4 of the Delphox and the break. So he was uncontested Delphox, which is super duper rare. So he has thick Delphox. He has a 4/4/4 Delphox plus the break. That is thick Delphox. So really, really high damage output and high hit points as well. The break is 180 and the regular Delphox as well. They're no slouches. So he is... Like, I'm really hoping that I can be aggressive into him early, because I think his late game beats me, like, every time. He also has Blacksmith for burst acceleration. He has Malolana as well. That's a really scary card against me, because I'm looking to hit that sort of range. I guess that kind of cancels out the Gold Potion that I play. So, yeah, but Gold Potion's not going to be good against him, to be honest, because he has so much one-shot potential. He's also playing Life Deal as well, which can help him catch up. He actually seems like a scary matchup, because he doesn't have that much early game consistency. Let's see what consistency supports he plays. Double Cynthia's good. Bridget's good. Mallow's only good late game. Marnie's, yeah. Collector's good, though. Okay, so he has like 4 or 5 decent supporters. Opal and Skylar seem okay. Yeah, seem okay when he has Nest Ball, Great Ball, that sort of thing. So his late game just absolutely batters me. So I have to try and kill him before he gets into that sort of stage. It's weird. I definitely want to go first against him because he wants to evolve so much. But I also don't want to let him have a supporter and actually get set up. And I don't want him to use Vulpix either. So am I meant to go second, trying to like Flare Starter or Power Heater? It's hard to say. I have so much Ball Search. If I just go back to my list, I have 3 Great Ball, 1 Com, 1 Dual Ball. So in theory, if I choose to go second, I'll have really good odds at like getting into Volk, at least Entei for like Combat Blaze pressure. Because I need to beat him with pressure. There's no other way I'm going to beat him, to be honest, right? There's just no other way. Yeah, the Life Dew is super clutch as well. That's scary, actually. I don't have much Gus as well, so he can just build Delphox. Like, as long as he just keeps feeding me things, he can then catch up later on by just going knockout, 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 knockout. So yeah, he doesn't have... I mean, he only has 1 Malolana, but this Malolana might actually block me from using my trump card against him. I have to try and trump card before he's used the Malolana, because if I put it back into his deck, that's super scary. He's also playing 3 double colorless. I think that's so that he can use the Powerful Storm Delphox as an attacking threat. So yeah, this is a strong deck. I mean, being uncontested for Delphox is like, I don't know how that happened. I want to be part of that draft, because holy, it's like the most powerful line in the draft, and just he was allowed to get every piece of it. Just wild. There's a Machamp deck that came together, Donchamp, basically. That's always like a classic combo in Cube, never a bad thing. We've got a Garbodor Psychic box, I guess. Oh, it's got some Reggie stuff going on in here as well. Interesting. So like Garb Big Basic kind of thing going on. Interesting. We've got another Delphox player, so pretty much everyone... You can see how popular Delphox is. Everyone's going to weave in Delphox. So this is more like a mixture between mine and Davi's list, where he's got the big basic starters, but he's also got the late game Delphox. Pretty powerful deck. I would imagine that would be high up there as we go through. What else have we got going on here? We've got a Machamp. Yeah, Machamp's popular. We've got a Bronzong Herdia thing going on. Spicy. Okay, so it's actually got Stoutland in here as well as some blocking. 4 Crushing Hammers? They drafted 4 Crushings. That's really bad against me. That's really good against me unless I find Blacksmith early. If I find Blacksmith, I just completely sweep that, right? More eels going on. This is so... and he's playing, I guess, Eel Chew. I didn't see the Raichus. Right, more Machamp. Beedrill. One copy of Beedrill in here. Spicy. What else have we got? Just getting a feel of things. There's a Greninja line going on there. That's playing Mincino and Herdias and stuff as well. More Lillipups and things going on. Ton of those going around. We've got some more Delphox. Always going to be competition for Delphox. This looks like it's playing Milotic Delphox. Pretty spicy. Cincino Garb with some big basics by the looks of things. Ton of people are playing big basic stuff, which I respect. I definitely think that's strong. Milotic big basics as well coming in. A ton of people just ignoring the stage 2s, which I respect. Then there's more Greninja coming in here. Seems good. Seems good. More big basics? Question mark. This just looks like pure big basics. Where's his acceleration? I don't know, to be honest. All right, we've got eels coming in. Eel Chew, yeah. More Eel Chew, so a different Eel Chew list. Donphan. So a ton of Donphan, ton of Delphox, ton of eels. A couple Hydreigons, more Donphans. Oh, one person built Beedrill, you madman. Okay, uncontested Beedrill. That's when they're powerful. So the 2 Evo Beedrills, they do 40 times each Beedrill in play. Anywhere on the board. So it can be sniping for like 160, 160, 120 over here, 80 over here. That's wild if you actually get it powered up. So the Dreamer is trying out here. That's pretty cool. More Greninja coming in. And yeah, that's the 32. So good amount of... I mean, there's a ton of just aggro basics, which I think I can win against. I think I just have a really good trade because I have the Eviolite, I have the Muscle Band, I have Blacksmith Spam. And I think other people will be slow again. I think I've built the most consistent deck. I'm just going to say that because I've got 3 Cincinos and Salazzle, and I think I outdraw most people. So I think I'll be able to 1v1 race most of the other big basic players. Some of the stage 2s scare me a little bit. Davi's list definitely scares me because of how consistent he's made Delphox. Normally, I would hope there'd be enough competition that people only make like 3-2-2 lines, but he's gone full 4-4-4. He's got his own Blacksmith. I mean, that's scary, man. That's really, really scary. So hopefully I can take that first dub. I need to get top 4 if I actually make it to the Champions League of the Cube. This is me having not played all year, so it's going to be interesting to see if I actually make it to that. So my goal is top 4 of this tournament. There's 32 players by the looks of things. If I can top 4 with something consistent like this, I'll be pretty happy because then I get to Cube again with all the other people who have played a lot more than I have. So yeah, that's my pre-match of the December Cube League. Hopefully I'm gonna get as many games as I can on PTCGO. I'm just gonna try and trade people stuff on PTCGO so they can accumulate their deck. This is all possible because it's open deck list, so I can then quite happily just say, hey, give me your trades list for what you need, and I can trade you stuff, and we can trade back after the game. So hopefully it'll be a better viewing experience on PTCGO than it would be on Untap. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be bringing you battles sporadically throughout the coming weeks because the tournament goes throughout the month. So yeah, stay tuned. Cheers.